Hello and welcome to Right Sports Talk. My name is Zach. And a few hours ago, it was announced that the New England Patriots are going to be parting ways with their head coach, Jerod Mayo. So as a Patriots fan, I just wanted to give my real initial kind of reaction to the news and maybe talk a little bit about who I would want to see take over as their head coach going into next season. So my initial reaction, you know, as a Patriots fan, it sucks to see Jerod Mayo get fired. He is somebody that has spent the majority of his adult life associated with the Patriots. Um, First off, as a player, he was a first round draft pick at linebacker for this team back in 2008. Played his entire career for New England, and then after retiring, got into coaching and spent his entire coaching career before being named head coach of the Patriots under Bill Belichick, learning, you know, how to be a coach. He's been a linebackers coach, a defensive assistant for this team, and after last season, when the Patriots parted ways with Bill Belichick, Jerod Mayo was named the head coach for this team, and unfortunately, things did not go as I had hoped it would for them. I figured they weren't going to have, a great year, be a playoff contending team, but I didn't really think they would be a 4-13 team and wind up firing their coach. This is a team that at times had things going for them with Drake May. Drake May played very well, and offensively, even with nothing really around him, and even defensively, had some pieces that played very well, like Christian Gonzalez and Keon White. But unfortunately, they just were not all that good. Jerod Mayo was not really put in the best situation to succeed. He was taking over, not only taking over for a legendary coach in Bill Belichick, but also taking over not a great roster. It was one of the worst rosters in the NFL going into this season. Um, Obviously, they had a few bright spots. They got Drake May in the draft, and he played very well since he became a starter his rookie season. But even this team, that their selling point for how good they were going to be was their defense, it took a major step back for them. Just hoping that maybe if the Patriots had won a few of it more of their close games, maybe this would be a very different conversation, and Coach Mayo would have had some things to build on and go into next season. But the Patriots, a few weeks ago, they played the Bills very strong. Well, played them very close when they were playing their starters, and then unfortunately last week they played the Chargers and got destroyed. And there was quite a few games that they should have been that I thought they should have been very competitive in, and they just weren't. The Arizona Cardinals comes to mind. They could have been very competitive in that game, and they got run over in that game. They lost some very winnable games. Lost to the Tennessee Titans, who wound up beating the team that got the number one overall pick. Lost them in overtime after Drake May led a scoring drive that wound up tying the game. Got the touchdown, and the Patriots opting to go for the extra point and go to overtime instead of go for two and take the lead. Obviously, they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got demolished by the Jaguars, who were not a great team this year. Wound up losing to the Indianapolis Colts in a very competitive game, and their defense wound up at the end letting Anthony Richardson drive down the field on them. And, he's a quarterback that struggled most of this season. They wound up ultimately losing that game because the Colts decided to, instead of taking the extra point and going for overtime, took the 2-point conversion and went for the win. This is a team that they showed lots of flashes, but they would take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This team, they didn't really bring in a whole lot around Drake May. They tried in the draft and really missed with drafting Jalen Polk and Javon Baker at wide receiver. They didn't really do anything. Javon Baker had 0 catches this year and was inactive most of the year. As I mentioned, defensively, they took a major step back despite having, Keon White playing well and Christian Gonzalez being an all-pro corner for them. It is, unfortunate to see how the Patriots finished off their season and Coach Mayo being fired. I do, it sucks seeing somebody lose their job. I hope that, he can find, maybe a defensive coordinator job somewhere in the future. And, that also puts up in the air their offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt, and their defensive coordinator, Devontae Covington, of, what happens with them. I guess that kind of depends on who they bring in as their next head coach. Just want to touch a little bit on who I think I would like to see bring them in. Number one that I would like to see them bring in is Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions. I know a lot of people have been wanting Mike Vrabel. That's another option that I think is a very good option. He is a coach that has had proven success in this league when he was a coach of the Tennessee Titans. He's a guy that has some ties to New England as a former player there. But he's also a defensive-minded guy. And I would really like Ben Johnson because I want an offensive-minded head coach to build around Drake May and be able to, keep Drake May in one system for as long as he's the coach there. So if you bring in Mike Vrabel, as awesome as a culture shift that would be for this team, whoever Vrabel brings in as his offensive coordinator, if they have one really good year, often good offensive coordinators usually get swapped around to different teams and, usually made head coaches or, go to a better situation. So you wind up going back to a new system. If you have an offensive-minded coach, that system doesn't ever really change. Look at your Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay's, even Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. They can kind of lose offensive coordinators every year, but the system stays in place because they are, the offensive-minded guys. And, Mike Vrabel is another guy that I would like to see. He'd be especially bringing in a different culture to this team that, it didn't seem like there was much there with Jerod Mayo. It seemed like, it was definitely different than how it was under Bill Belichick. I'm getting a little rambly. I just, wanted to talk a little bit, give my immediate reaction to the firing of Jerod Mayo, and kind of talk a little bit about possible replacements that I would like to see. But so anybody that you guys think of for possible replacement, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, see ya.